Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Erin Campbell.
Happy Wednesday.
Reuben Bressler.
Oh, hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm ready to talk about our awesome new preview cards.
I feel like we just had a preview card.
I know.
We just did.
It's a lot.
There are people right now who have ordered Modern Horizons and have not gotten their product yet.
Yep.
And we're well in M20 Preview season, which is insane in and of itself. Okay, that's it. We also get started with our Trumpet Blast, which you can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. We've had a whole bunch of new patrons lately. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the world of Magic Mics. With that said, we'll kick it off with that giveaway right now in the chat, ! Raffle, to get you into a drawing for a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. You get 2 entries if you are a sub, so get on that sub train, y'all, which we certainly absolutely appreciate. All right, so first pick, M20 Previews. Y'all want to see some new cards? I'm ready for some new cards.
Hold on. Before we do this, I'm not sure I want to see new cards.
What?
It's like too many new cards. I'm like overloaded with new cards. Like I need some time. We just had Modern Horizons.
I've forgotten about a lot of those cards already. Like they've passed through and they're just through, you know?
I'm ready for new cards because all I'm seeing are angels, elementals. Like Mama's got needs. Can we get some dead things?
We had a scout. We had a 5-color scout legend. Is that tickle your fancy?
This is certainly, Wizards is definitely trying our ability to stay enthused and excited at any one time. Okay,
I can't be on all the time. Well, I need a nap.
No, because you're. I'm not gonna. No, I'm good.
Wow, she'll be a good girl. She's good. She's fine.
The joke that was gonna go there. It was both funny and well executed. Well done. High five. All right.
All right. You guys are here to see some awesome cards. Now today, relatedly so. You have yourselves a new Planeswalker on CoolStuffInc.com. You can find it right now. You two will be able to
find cool stuff in stock every day.
Yes, you can. You would be able to find our preview, which is Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. Now, Sorin Imperious Bloodlord is the closest thing to a vampire Planeswalker that we've ever gotten, and it is super cool. Yeah. So if you're going to build your vampire deck, Wizards is like, hey, we've got these vampires. How about we show you some? That'd be really sweet. So we don't only have one, we have 2, which is awesome. We'll show the first one. And then we'll show the second one that's going to enable the first one, as well as being something unprecedented on a Magic card. So let's take a look here at Bloodthirsty ARIELIST. This is 2 black and a generic mana for an uncommon 2/3 vampire rogue with flying. And whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on Bloodthirsty ARIELIST.
Oof.
So this is, first of all, beautiful image. Absolutely terrific. It's really cool. Vampires as sort of trapeze artists almost in some way.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean they sort of changed up the flavor a little bit of how the vampires are. This is I forget what this artistic dance technique is, but I've seen some Facebook friends of mine that have done this as like a hobby of art dancing in your drapery.
Well, if you notice here, the image is actually upside down. Those candles are burning the wrong way, so we're looking at her upside down. So that's really sweet.
Chad is calling it Sorin's Pridemate.
Sorin's Pridemate, I like it.
Nice.
Fantastic. So, if you're going to have a card that is a 3-mana 2/3 flyer that is Sorin's Pridemate, well, you're going to want to have something that's going to enable it, but gosh, you know, they keep putting awesome keywords on 1 mana, 1 drops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just 1/1. Good old-fashioned 1 mana 1/1s. You're like, what would it take for a 1 mana 1/1 to see play in a vampire deck? Well, we're probably going to need lifelink, right? Because that thing that we just looked at needs you to gain life. But you're probably also going to want it to take down something stupid, which we'll get to something stupid here in a little while. Take a look at Vampire of the Dire Moon, which is 1 black mana for a 1/1 uncommon vampire with Death Touch and lifelink.
Yeah. That is a heck of a 1-drop. I didn't think that we'd ever see the day where we would get the lifelink Death Touch 1-drop. I thought that was a bridge too far, where you get all of the keywords. But we live in a world. Well, first of all, we live in a world where Healer's Hawk is one of the best 1-drops ever, which is great.
Yeah.
So if we had Soren's Pridemate, this is Soren's
Hawk.
Doesn't work as well. No, but it's a plague rat or
Typhoid rat.
Typhoid rat, that's the one.
Nice.
The problem with the 1-mana lifelinkers like Banehound, for example, is that they sort of lose their effectiveness as the game goes on. This doesn't. This can stand in front of a Carnage Tyrant need be. And so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, this card in and of itself, again, the idea that we've gotten both of these effects so close to 1 mana, or so close to it's like a weird sort of setup where they'll give it make it like an 0-1 or something, and you have to kind of reach to get it to where you want it to be. But no, it's just like, nope, it's got these 2 incredible abilities. It's good on turn 1. It's good on turn 7 when they're starting to lay down their super bombs. They're like, well, this guy's still got Death Touch, so if you want to tag into it, that's fine.
I'm really excited for a lot of these vampire cards because we are coming up on, there's still a little bit of Ixalan left, and there were a lot of vampire cards in there that, the thing with the tribal decks is a lot of those decks, you need the right amount of cards and the right type of cards to really make your deck a thing. And Vampires has been one of those that we've had for a little while, but it hasn't quite gotten there yet. And it'll be interesting to see if there's some pieces in M20 that can give us that good 3 or 4 months of Vampire Tribal.
Absolutely. And you'll see this with some other preview cards we're going to talk about, where Wizards is like, you got these 3 magical months where we're just going to put it to the floor, and you're going to get to go hog wild with these crazy themes by giving you the best cards for those decks. And they certainly have done so. So these cards are sweet. Again, they help fuel your vampire deck. We got not 1 preview, but 2. So thank you very much to Wizards of the Coast for their super cool, awesome free preview.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to roll on here to a few cards that we wanted to talk about individually. We all picked out 3 cards. There's obviously lots of cards to talk about. I'll go ahead and get to mine. First card I want to talk about, and these are all recently spoiled, so if you haven't seen them, discover along with me. Rotting Regisaur is a black and 2 generic mana for a 7/6 rare zombie dinosaur. I want us to go back just a step. Just 3 mana, y'all. 1 black, 2 generic mana. Not even 2 black and a generic mana. 1 black and 2 generic mana for a rare zombie dinosaur that says at the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card. Period.
To be clear, if you
Period.
can't, you don't have to sacrifice this. You just don't do it. So if you're hellbent, okay. This card, I love the flavor text specifically of, now that's a big zombie. This is what happens if me and Tappy Toquaz ever had a baby.
Right, there you go.
This card is insane. The rate on this card is ridiculous.
It's insane, but hot take, this is not going to see any play.
I know, right?
Now. It is awesome. It is sweet. No one's going to play it.
I know. I've never seen so obvious of a case of a card that is like, wow, I can't believe they printed it, and also that will never see any play anywhere, right? Because what's it gonna do? Oh, nice 7/6. I guess I bounce it with Teferi. Nice 7/6. During your upkeep, you discard a card, and then we'll Tyrant Scorn or Cast Down, right? Or we'll just stand in front of it with with 1/1 tokens until you run out of anything, and then wrath the board. Like, how is this relevant in any way, except for against like Mono Green Stompy, where it outclasses a steel leaf champion, but it has no evasion, and man, boy, this is just a feel bad.
This is one of those cards.
The fact that Law Root Enforcer sees play in the mono white deck, and it stays in play to make you discard cards.
Yeah.
Like, man, boy, howdy.
It's insane. This is almost one of those cards where R&D is just like, how are we going to get them? How are we going to get them, y'all? And then I bet that like the numbers just crept up, right? Like it was a 3 mana 5/5, it was a 3 mana 6/6, and they're like, nah, 7/6. Let's just keep going because it's so silly and ridiculous. And like in many ways, yes, this will be a ridiculous beating in limited. For God's sakes, make sure they do not have a pacifism in their hand before you play it. So don't run it out on turn 3. Run it out later when they've used all their cool removal.
Back it to your bone splinters, and then it doesn't feel so bad.
Sure.
And there are ways to get rid of it, but this is a card that's like, 10 years ago, if you'd shown me this card, I'd been like, okay, and it dies, right? Or okay, and it like gets a -1/-1 counter every upkeep as well, or something stupid. Right. And now it's like, it's just a sick rate.
Phyrexian Negator was the best black. It's Negator. People call it Negator. I always called it Negator because it sounded. Negator was like the best 3-drop for pound 3-drop for a long time because there just wasn't damageable removal for it. And so this, being the same cost, bigger stats, doesn't make you sacrifice anything, but, you know.
Gosh, that's such a high cost, and the environment is built in such a way that it's not actually that threatening. It's weird. Okay, so we got to keep going here. Next card I want to talk about showed up today. Marauding Raptor is a red and a generic mana for a 2/3 rare dinosaur that first says creature spells you cast cost 1 generic mana less to cast. Okay. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Marauding Raptor deals 2 damage to it. If a dinosaur is dealt damage this way, Marauding Raptor gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Wow,
that's cool.
This card is like custom built for like somebody in R&D. This was my thought, was somebody in R&D was like, Ripjaw Raptor really didn't see any standard play. Like, you know, you people have not, you know, enjoyed my work. You haven't appreciated this dinosaur for what it is, and like just made the perfect, literally the stone perfect card for the red-green dinosaur deck that lets you curve on that thing, draw a card when it enters the battlefield, smash for 4 on turn 3. Like all the boxes are checked. This card is made for that deck. Enjoy it for the 3 months that you have it.
Yeah. Yep. I think that this is going to be good with, I mean, Ripjaw Raptor is the headliner. I think that Raging Raptor, or Raging, I forget which Raptor it is. Raging Raptors. The other one that has 3 toughness that's 3 mana.
That goes and gets a land or whatever?
That rampant growth to you, yeah. Right. That's pretty good. Trapjaw Tyrant might finally see some play, maybe, with this card. But we got
to talk about the Polyraptor thing, okay?
Yeah, that's stupid. Because
it's silly.
Don't you just draw the game?
If you cannot kill Marauding Raptor when they play Polyraptor, the game is an instant draw. Wizards has already recognized this. It just is a thing. You either can answer it or the game's done. And this isn't going to be a viable strategy, y'all. For real. This isn't going to be a tier 1 tournament winning deck. This is going to be some silly crap you play on Arena. It's fine. You'll have a removal spell for a 2/3, and if you don't, you were losing that game anyway. Like, be lucky it was a draw. You know what I mean?
But the fact that it doesn't even need that second ability, although the second ability is a drawback, a 2/3 for 3 that makes your creatures cost less, and prevents you from playing 2/2s, I guess, or just kills all your 2/2s on sight. I mean, even with a Raptor Hatchling, this is pretty scary because you go this on turn 2 and then Raptor Hatchling turn 3, kill the 1/1, get a 3/3, attack for 6 is like kind of scary. So yeah, this card's pretty good.
That card is extremely powerful. Let's see. The last card I wanted to talk about specifically was Layline of Abundance. The Laylines are back. Not all of them, but they're a new one. Noah Bradley, however, did a fantastic job at making 5 all new ones, despite somebody trying to hate on him this morning. What's wrong with y'all? Trying to hate on
who did that?
Somebody trying to hate on Noah Bradley, man. It's not cool.
Wow.
And apparently he has one of those filters where like he looks for his name on Twitter all the time. And so
that's who someone was talking about.
They didn't tag him. They just ran it out.
I heard he like dragged him for filth too.
Oh yeah, and like his wife got into it and it was ridiculous.
Oh.
The point is he did a great job. Don't be silly. Layline of Abundance is a 2 green, 2 generic mana rare enchantment, and like all ley lines, if it's in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green mana.
That is a cool line of text.
That's an amazing line of text. 2 green, 6 generic mana, so 8 total. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So that in and of itself is unbelievably exciting to me. The fact that this stacks, which is ridiculous. The fact that turn 1 elf is just like what you do in a green deck and what we can do in a green deck in standard and what we can do in a green deck in standard until Dominaria leaves us, right? So we got these magical months of awesomeness, and we'll see if it goes anywhere.
Yeah.
I love this card. I think it's super exciting.
Green cards. So apparently, with the rise of Hogok in Modern, Devoted Druid is a tier 1 deck now, and it is running the green finale from War of the Spark.
Nice.
Seeing Modern competitive play, like look at God.
Excellent. Well, that's terrific. Yeah, I'd be interested to know. Someone asked, does it work with Convoke? And if there's any judges in there. Pharmacist Judge perhaps could jump in there and help us out. But that card in and of itself, again, the idea that you have a Leyline, turn 0, this stuff is going into play. Oh my god, just living the dream of getting 2 of them and playing Llanowar Elves and saying go, and them not having the removal spell. It's just, whew, it's the stuff that dreams are made of. There's
also an infinite combo if you have 4 of them in your opening hand. It was posted to our Discord, which was nice.
Wow. Okay. What if you have 4 of in your opening hand? What do you need?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you need all 4 of your Leyline of Abundance in your opening hand.
So there's 4 of the 7, yeah.
Right. So then you have 3 cards left in your opening hand. Then you play a Forest Llanowar Elf, obviously. Then on turn 2, you play a Kiora, untap your Llanowar Elf
Tap
with
5
mana floating.
Play a little too impossible.
Yeah, this is pretty. It's pretty impossible.
It's ridiculous. I just want for the
play
people
a
listening.
Nissa, and you untap again. Then you play the new 6 mana 5/5 that if you pay 5 green mana, you put 5+1/+1 counters on a land and untap it.
Right.
Then you just get an infinite sized forest and attack.
Oh my god. Okay, that was I just just for the listeners of like, hey, what's this terrible combo? Well, there you go.
Not good, but
it's never going to happen, but it's awesome that it could happen in some universe. Right. Erin, tell us a little bit about your cards.
So the first card that I am so excited about, we've talked a lot about those 3-month decks where Wizards is like, all right, we'll give you all your toys for 3 months, and then we have to take them away from you. This card it's just, I can't. I can't. When I get a broken card, I just can't help but laugh. So I picked Field of the Dead. So Field of the Dead is a land. As it enters the battlefield tapped, it makes a colorless mana. Whenever Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Scapeshift is still a card in Standard, and there's also a black creature, the Dread Nightmare thing, that says anytime a swamp enters the battlefield, black Scapeshift, if that is even remotely viable, I am buying in immediately. Like Dead Shift, Swamp Shift, like yes, I would love to make an army full of zombies or just drain the crap out of you with a Scapeshift. That sounds incredible.
I think most people are saying you want to get to 8 lands, so you can get 2 Field of the Dead and then the 6 other lands, and that will give you 16 power. 8 zombies for your trouble immediately.
I literally get chills when you say that. That's just everything I want to be doing in life.
It's so much fun. This is the fun we get to have. I love it. Wizards is really leaning in, and they do this from time to time, like when we got Ranker with Infect. They really lean in on, here's an awesome enabler for this awesome rare that you're going to not be able to play with after a while, but isn't it going to be fun?
Yes.
It's beautiful. All right, next card.
So the second card I'm very excited about, I'm obviously, Dredge Mom, I love dead things, but I also love Enchantress decks. I played Constellation when it was standard legal. I played Enchantress in Legacy. I've tried to make Enchantress work in Modern and Vintage. So the idea that we might be going back to Theros, so that we're seeing like Theros related cards really, really excites me. So the second card I want to talk about is Starfield Mystic. I was a big fan of Starfield and Nyx back in the day. It's been on a couple of my top 10 lists. So for 1 and a white, you get a human cleric that's a 2/2. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 colorless less to cast. I'm immediately on board. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Starfield Mystic. If Constellation were to come back, I would be so happy. I had so much fun with that deck. I won my first ever game day with Constellation. I love the engine, the Enchantress engine when it's working. This really, really speaks to me.
So we got to go back and make the last card even more exciting. I screwed that up. Thank you, Martin Casa, who noted that it is 16 zombies, 32 power with 8 lands entering the battlefield. You get 8 creatures from the one, and you get 8 creatures from the other, because they all see each other simultaneously.
Sure.
There you go.
Which is insane.
Perfect. And some astute people have picked up on the fact that if you look very closely on top of the temple, you can see bolus horns. And I think somebody from Wizards was very quick to nip that in the bud of there is no bolus on Theros. Let's
not bolus horns. That's a Laurel Wreath.
Yep.
Right. Laurel Wreath, not the horns. There's just... Maybe it's not the next set because they said, I think they said the next set is going to be an all-new
There's a lot of pips.
Place. But there's a ton of pips all over cards in M20. Yeah. There's no way we don't go back to Theros in the next year. It's going to happen.
Cool setting. Yeah, exactly. So we have a whole lot of... It's time to go deep on theory craft here.
Oh,
there are so many unfinished plot threads on Theros.
Yeah, there are.
And I feel like we have to go back.
Who's the green red god? Yeah.
Right. Who's the green red god?
Mhm.
What's Elspeth's deal? Gideon's remembrance ceremony. Spoiler alert, R.I.P. Gideon. Literally R.I.P. Gideon.
Yeah.
Also Heliod being a big bad now, maybe. As a mono white big bad would be very interesting. And there's so much more to explore with the Greek and Roman themes that we didn't touch on the first three sets that we were there. There are so many ways to keep going with Theros that I feel like it's inevitable that we have to go back. Also, it's a set that if it doesn't have sagas, boy, I don't know, man. I don't know where you put sagas if you don't put them on Theros and Dominaria.
To answer a question in the chat, when we say the green red god, we mean the vacancy that was left open for Xenagos to take. It was never addressed what happened to that OG red god. And so that's what I mean is, who was that? Where did they go? That was never answered.
There you go. All right, so what was your last card, Erin?
The last card I'm really excited about is something that you wouldn't think I would be into, but it's just so weird. I have yet to find a mono blue commander that I really, really want to build around. And so the third card that excites me is Atemsis All-Seeing. So Atemsis is a Sphinx, 3 colors and 3 blue, 4 power, 5 toughness with flying. You can pay 2 and a blue and tap them to draw 2 cards and discard a card. Whenever Atemsis deals damage to an opponent, you can reveal your hand. If cards with at least 6 different converted mana costs are revealed, that player loses the game. I love that wording so much. We're seeing them playing around a lot more with they lose instead of you win. And I would love to just tailor that hand and be like, whoop! It just sounds so exciting. One of my favorite YouTube channels, Commander's Quarters, did a little bit of a brief framework for this deck if you wanted to start building it. And I'm so excited for this. So if anybody... I'm not a builder, I'm not a deck builder, but if anybody's watching and you're brewing, let me know your list because I would play this.
I mean, that name alone, Atemsis? What was it again?
Atemsis?
Atemsis?
Yeah.
See, how cool. Right. Well, if this was Karen All-Seeing, I just want to point out, names mean stuff and are important and can be weird.
Did I ever tell you there's an Australian drag queen named Karen from Finance? That is her name. It's brilliant.
Oh my god. All right.
Yeah.
So this card in of itself, though, my favorite is what do they call it? The milkshake turn or something or other. Like, what? Basically, you got to the bottom of that card and you were like, wait, they what? They lose the what? Holy cow! That's I thought you're going to draw a bunch of cards or take control of something. Like, no, they just lose. And I'm like,
I do love that. First of all, the Sphinx is the iconic big blue thing. Like, it took a while for them to figure out what blue and green's big, like, crazy creature type was going to be. We had dragons, we had demons, and we had angels. And it took a while for them to settle on sphinxes and hydras, which, they don't roll off the tongue or the brain quite so quickly, but I'm glad that we've settled here, particularly because of how bizarre all of the sphinxes can be, because sphinxes are tough to figure out and weird and esoteric by their very nature. And this fits just perfectly in with that. Like, the numbers on this card are bizarre and weird, and they don't make any sense except for in their own weird way. But it comes out like this, where it's like a 4/5 that you need 6 cards in your hand for different costs and also cost 6.
And draw some cards.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All right, so we got to keep moving here. Reuben, what is the first card you want to talk about?
So I am actually very excited by Mu Yanling Sky Dancer, because I think it's a planeswalker like we've not really seen before. It's a colorless blue for legendary planeswalker Yanling. Starts with loyalty 2, has a +2 until your next turn up to one target creature gets -2/-0 and loses flying. -3, create a 4/4 blue elemental bird creature token with flying.
Oh.
-8, you get an emblem with islands you control, have tap, draw a card. So weird, right?
Weird.
It's very strange. You can only use the first ability the turn it comes into play unless you proliferate. And it does protect itself, so that's good.
Right.
And it's a blue planeswalker that makes a huge blocker. Like, that, going turn 3 +2 and then immediately making a -3 is a big deal.
Yeah,
That ultimate though is just oof.
The ultimate is also kind of
I
insane.
can't look at the ultimate without hearing "Islands in the Stream."
right. Someone mentioned that it dies to lightning strike, but it doesn't. And here's why: because when you play it and you put 2 counters on it, you have priority at that point. So if the next thing you do is +2 is the cost. So before your opponent can even respond to you, it's already at 4. So you've paid the cost by adding those counters. Therefore, it's at 4 loyalty before they can respond. So, so it's protected in that regard. But anytime there's a 3-mana walker, just look at all the 3-mana walkers from War of the Spark.
Right.
They're all insane. They're all ridiculous.
I mean, we've had Jace Cunning Castaway, which has not really done anything, but we've also had Narset, which has done quite a lot. This is obviously somewhere in between and very weird and different, so it's going to take a minute to figure out if there's a home for this. But it's a blue planeswalker that makes a really big body. It is also an elemental, and there are like some elemental strategies. I could see a world where you play this on 3 and plus, then the next turn you play your Risen Reef and minus and get the ability on your Risen Reef, for example, which would be kind of cool.
Can I just say I love Risen Reef so much. That flavor check. A lot of the flavor checks really jumps out at me from this set. There are so many cards that have made me just laugh out loud. The thing I love about the Reef is the flavor check says, no, it walked ashore, not washed ashore.
I can't handle the no shirt, no shoes, no service.
You're
like
really,
that was a bit much. Yeah, I don't like that one.
Hate that one.
I mean, come on. This is like, we're making this game. It's going to last for our entire lifetimes. You can put anything you want on that card.
Vampire that hangs from the ceiling and drinks blood. Let me have my fantasy, you guys.
I don't know, man. Why are we getting our stuff from IHOP front doors? I'm just asking questions. It doesn't make any sense.
Like church where you're from.
Well, there you go. Take me to church. That's what that whole song was about. Was just going to IHOP.
Right.
All right, Reuben, what's your next card?
It's the name of the episode, so we got to talk about it. We could have named the episode Twice Bitten, since we had 2 vampires, and once Fry, because Fry is quite bananas. So, brilliant. First of all, I always love it. We always love it. And you find a very short, 1-word, 3 letters that hasn't been used before. Excellent. Being able to target something and fry that and put it in your graveyard, that's pretty excellent. So Combust was a card that saw Modern play, and this is like the same card, except that we're trading Damage Can't Be Prevented for being able to target a planeswalker.
That's huge.
Which is enormous. Both Teferis tick up to 5. This also takes care of a Gideon. Like, going up to 5 is no longer a protected number anymore for your blue and white planeswalkers. Fry is going to see the most sideboard play of any card in Standard. It is an incredible card.
It's funny.
I mean, this is, and I appreciate this as a, looking at the design teams, the play design, how they make Magic sets, what they put into Magic sets these days, and they knew that Teferi was the best card in Dominaria. They knew he was going to just wreck Standard and even maybe older formats. So they're like, okay, clearly they gave us lots of time to have fun with Teferi, and that time is over. Because this card says, no, stop it. No, you got your 1 draw card, you got your 1 untapped 2 lands. That's it. Go away, Teferi. So this is a amazing answer to Little Teferi, Big Teferi. I mean, even if the new Jace sees some play, I mean, like Ashiok, like it's just whatever, man. Anything that happens to be blue or white, this just hits all of them, which is terrific. All right, so what's your last card?
The last card is Yarok. Yarok.
Sound like me now.
Huh?
Words? Tomato? Huh? Potato?
So for 2 colorless, a black, a green, and a blue, you get a legendary creature, Elemental Horror, 3/5, with Death Touch and Lifelink, which was on our preview card as well. One of our preview cards. And also has, if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time.
Oh, God.
Right, so we have like a Teysa Karlov style thing or a Panharmonicon style thing happening here. Pretty cool to have another Sultai legendary creature. This one isn't going to be banned in Commander, unlike Leovold.
Plays well with Muldrotha.
Yep, goes well with Muldrotha, which is very nice. And like sort of lives in a different kind of place.
I love the flavor of it though, where it seems to be almost like it appears to be like an elemental that might have been like Eldrazi's. Like it kind of has like the flavor text implies it's from Zendikar, and so I love it. I want to know more about this character, honestly.
Right, because Balaget is definitely a Zendikar thing. Yeah, it's an odd bird. This is, you know, pan horror Harmonicon per the chat. I mean, Pan Harmonicon is an amazing artifact from Kaladesh block and has only gone up in price because it's so much fun to see what you can do with it. Saffron Olive, you know, Seth obviously is going to have an absolute field day with this card, make lots of videos, to do lots of stupid things.
This was the MTG Goldfish preview.
Oh, well, there you go.
This was his. So, so he's had it for a while. And also going to go great with all your Explore package, right? Yep. Should go great with, I mean, obviously this goes great with anything that says comes into play. And being a 3/5, that's a big deal. So, you know, it may die to a fry, but you might get to have some fun with it.
Well, old man Magic, they don't say comes into play anymore. They say enters the battlefield.
Fine. It enters the battlefield twice.
Hey, I'll take my type 2 cards any way I can get them. All right?
Right.
There you go. So there's going to be more previews, even from you, Reuben. And when's that going to happen?
That's right. So you can look out for more previews from little old Reuben, Mount Mox Ruby, and the rest of the crew from the Broken Pact. We got another preview card, and this one is very exciting. We're super excited about it. We filmed our preview video last night, and Jordan is editing it. And that is going to be premiering on Mana Dorks, which is the Saving Throw show arena show hosted by Gaurav Gulati and Jordan Pridgeon over on Saving Throw Show. So if you haven't followed over there, go to twitch.tv/Saving Throw Show. Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern is when that'll be premiering. And I just the card that we got, and I'm not sure I've been more excited about a card.
Speaking of Magic, core set 20, Magic 20. 20. Right. Evan didn't put this in the Google document, but we are going to be taking part in another preview event on July 1st and 2nd. We will be streaming Arena and playing with the new set. So be sure to tune in. We're going to do what we normally do, where we each take a shift. You'll get to see Evan playing, Reuben playing, me playing Arena. Tune in for that alone. And it should be a really good time. So if y'all are brewing with any of the new cards, be sure to ship me those lists.
Yes.
We'll play your list on stream. The last time someone sent me an Elves list, I cleaned house with it, so it was glorious. So show me those lists. I am not a deck builder.
Tell me how to beat all of the opposing Chandra decks, because I'm pretty sure that everyone is going to be playing Chandra decks.
You gotta build the Chandra deck at least once, right?
Reuben the Chandra decks. Give me the broken things, and give.
I want to beat the Chandra decks. Tell me how to beat the Chandra decks.
I'm building dinosaurs right now. It's dinosaur time.
Sure.
It's time to get smashy up in here. That's all I'm saying. And the bonus points, being able to watch Erin like interact with MTG Arena, much like she's dissecting a frog. She's like, well, if I do that, it's gonna squirt something out, and I don't know how that's gonna go, and this is weird. I need an adult. All right, let's move on here.
Gross.
Yes, it is. To gather the townsfolk. One last bit about M20 is that protection from colors is now back to probationary status.
Right. So we got that weird protection from green beetle that prevents counters from going on things.
Right.
Which is directly targeted at Wild Growth Walker, obviously, and friends.
Right.
And then there's the protection from white, sort of Adonto Vanguard red attacking creature.
Right.
It's sort of targeted at the fairy, kind of.
Maybe if the Ajani type build, the Trostani type
white
decks.
Deck. That's a weird one as well. So interested to see. They also added to the reminder text, even though equipping technically does target, so you didn't need to reference it. It cannot be equipped by white cards either.
So how long, and I'm not sure if it actually shows here in this thread on Reddit, how long has it been since we've had a card with protection on it? It's been a hot minute. Like, it's been a while. Because someone actually came back. Huh?
Blood Baron?
Blood Baron in Return to Ravnica? Yeah.
In Return to Ravnica? Boy.
I'm thinking.
Lifebane Zombie, somebody mentioned. That's a card in M14.
Pile Driver was an M15. Okay.
Okay. Pile Driver in being that it was rare, right?
Yeah, Emperor had protection from instants.
But that was a little different. Ultimately, it's just funny because
it's few and far between, and it's also been like 4 years.
Well, someone had mentioned like, "Hey, protection is back." I mean, I love it, but how come? And they said, it didn't technically go away. And I'm like, you sure about that? It felt like it went away pretty hardcore.
They've also been saying that about Hexproof too, where they're like, "Oh, we're not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
Right, and it got moved from Evergreen to Deciduous. Like, first of all, this is getting too cute. So it just showed up less. And two, the reason it's flirting with returning to Evergreen is the needs of play design, which he's going to talk about next week's article from him. So
I like that though. I like that they're, that it's not set in stone. That
I love it.
There comes a point where maybe a mechanic, has seen too much mileage and they need to scale it back a little bit. But that it shows that they're open to revisiting things, which I think is great.
I love protection. I think it's super cool. So like, let's go. I just, first of all, it was just super cute. But because for me, that felt like whatever they want to call like the New World Order or whatever it was, protection was not in it.
I just wonder if this is modern play because hardened scales is a thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Affinity loves doing its thing. Like there are some neat little strategies that this could hose.
I mean,
absolutely.
You remember when they're just like, "There's no way they're ever going to print a new Storm card. They're never going to print a Dredge card." Like they literally did both this year. So that's dope. All right. All right. So Gather Townsfolk. First up was DC Magic. The Grand Prix DC was this past weekend, and that was really sweet. They tried something new with coverage, which I want to congratulate them on.
Nice.
Absolutely. I've heard nothing but good things about the coverage from this past weekend.
Friend of the show, Ian Dixon. Dixon, our chat, one of our lovely mods. He was one of the first feature matches for the weekend, and he did amazing. Of course, he was playing some sort of Jeskai. He's basically Magic's Captain America. And so it was so good to see somebody we know on coverage trying out the new layout.
Absolutely. Now, I think for SDG, they got like some chairs and they try to do the on the floor bit, but this was the first like actual covering the match change that has happened. I don't know, since SCG Live showed up or something, like since Magic started covering its own games back in the day. There was always this feeling that, well, we had to have perfect information, otherwise you couldn't make it a good broadcast, when in fact, the opposite might be true. The fact that they didn't have perfect information gave you the ability to talk about lines of play that when you knew they had the removal spell or you knew they had the pump spell, like, why do you even bother going down that line when you know they're just going to get blown out? You're like, well, when you don't know they're going to get blown out, and you try to read what the opponent's doing and how they're playing and what they're doing, it actually created a lot more opportunities to talk about possibilities than just your normal, we can see everything, we know everything, therefore this is obviously the clear best play.
Yeah.
And that was amazing in and of itself. So congratulations to Channel Fireball for, again, trying something new, different, sweet. If there was one thing, and Reuben, Lord, I know you remember, if there's one thing all I did was scream and holler, was show me the face of these players. Face cams. I am not a fan of Reed Duke's hands. I don't care how nicely manicured they are. You're not a fan of his hands. You're a fan of how that boy looks.
And also, don't just put up like a driver's license photo.
Yeah.
Right.
That's part of my issue with the MPL, which we'll go further into later. But like, this is, this is just something that we should have solved 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You're trying to, you're not just selling cards. If we were just selling cards, sure. But if we're selling personalities, if we're selling the broadcast, you got to do something else.
That was one of the big things about the Mythic Invitational that was so enjoyable was the reactions to things. Seeing a lot of the streamers that are used to emoting for a camera like Amazonian and Skybills, that's what people want to see. They want to see those moments where someone blows you out and you're like, whoa, and like you see it on your face or you see somebody holding their head in their hands. Those are moments right there.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, yes, obviously you can like Reed's hands all you like. But the point is, you're star building people here. Yeah, they're just like, oh, them hands, y'all. They're wonderful hands, Superman's hands. But what I'm saying is, if you never saw his face, you'd have a hard time continuously being a fan of this guy because you wouldn't really know what they look like. So that's important. I showed a screenshot of what the coverage looked like on the screen if you're watching the video, and it was fantastic. So I can say nothing but, did a good job. Let's keep it up. I love the idea of seeing one hand but not both hands. I like the idea of trying to mirror the arena type feel and look, which I thought was kind of cool.
I got one hand in my coverage.
Jeez. All right. Do note that they had no pre-registered sealed pools at the event for Modern Horizons, so I would expect the same at GP Seattle this weekend. It's something that was mentioned. And there was a defense contractor recruiting people there.
Yeah. So there was like some hubbub about that. I don't see what the big deal is.
It's not that big of a deal. It's just so odd, I think, that you can't...
It was kind of weird.
It's a weird place to go recruiting for applicants, especially because it's not like a job that like just anybody can apply for. Like I believe you need a level of security clearance to like.
Right.
Some of them did. Some of the jobs required some amount of security clearance.
Yeah, so
I would say that Magic: The Gathering has historically been a treasure trove of potential hirees for math and science-based careers. I know that stock exchange hedge fund folks headhunt Magic: The Gathering like they would, the upper echelons of poker or chess, just because of the game theory minds that Magic tends to develop. And so maybe there's some link there. So, it's not totally out of the question. It is just kind of interesting and unique, and I don't see how... I would be interested to see the cost-benefit analysis of having a booth at a Magic: The Gathering Grand Prix.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if they needed any permission to do this. Like, did CFB know they were coming? Did the venue know they were coming? If you Wikipedia them, they're called LEDOS, and it says LEDOS works extensively with the U.S. Department of Defense, fourth largest Department of Defense contractor in 2012, United States Department of Homeland Security, United States Intelligence Community, including the NSA, as well as other government civil agencies and selected commercial markets.
Yeah.
So,
and this was in DC, and they're mostly based in Alexandria, which is, the Virginia part of DC. And so, I get it. And this is not the only time that they've had companies with like some work for us tables.
Right.
Most notably, Wizards always has a table at GP Seattle.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. All I'm saying was it was a weird thing. Some of them took security clearances.
Like a Magic tie-in, they could have done like, be a blighted agent.
Wow. Nice. I mean, and for what it's worth, they 100% paid for that booth. They probably didn't pay as much as other Magic dealers because they weren't buying and selling Magic cards, which is why you buy booths generally. Right. So, I can imagine they got a terrific rate on that booth.
You want to play Skulk the home game? I mean, so many Magic tie-ins. Like, don't do this.
Wow. All right, so we got to keep moving here. Got to skip over some stuff. We're going to take a look at Li Shitian is doing a GP and MPL survey. I'm going to put the link here in the chat. The link will be in the show notes if you're not watching me right now. This is a Google form that he's gathering feedback, and there's not only like you can say, for example, how should there be a flight provided by all of the MCQs? Should that be provided by Wizards or the tournament organizer? Would you pay more to guarantee that there was a flight for the winner of the event? Blah, blah, blah. Questions of that nature. Do you care about the MPL? Do you know what the MPL is? Do you watch the MPL weekly stuff? Like that stuff. So he wants to gather some of this information, bring it to Wizards, and we'll see where it goes. So for me, it was important to mention that as well. The Magic Eternal Weekend Europe is happening. This is kind of your alley, isn't it, Erin?
So Eternal Weekend Europe typically happens in the first quarter of the year. And so it was very obvious when it didn't happen. There were a lot of people that were predicting that it just wasn't going to happen. And they were seeing this as more evidence that, Wizards doesn't care about vintage or the older formats aren't getting any love. Eternal Weekend Asia has already been announced, so that's exciting. And so when we first saw the link to this, I think you might have put in the wrong link, actually, according to chat. But when this was announced, we were really excited that the event is still on. However, as we mentioned before with Eternal Weekend, they appear to have gotten into a problem with their scheduling. It's the week of Christmas. It's before Christmas.
Okay.
So the audience for older formats typically skews a lot older. You get a lot of dads, you get a lot of married folks. It's not the 22-year-old that can afford to miss Christmas. And these guys need to be home for the holidays. And so I think it's the 22nd to the 23rd, I think, or 24th. And so who's going to be able to go to Paris and do this thing? Like, no one's going to be able to make this. And so this is just another example of whoever schedules these eternal weekends just being kind of tone deaf in terms of who their audience is. You have Niagara Falls, that was the weekend of Easter. These guys are fathers. They can't just not be at Easter, And so I hope whoever is scheduling these things just gets a little bit more cognizant of who's your audience. Like, these are not young bucks that can just say, screw you, mom, I'm not going to Mother's Day. No, these guys and girls need to be around for the holidays. And so this was just really another unfortunate incident.
And you think those flights are going to be cheap on Christmas weekend? Where the
airports are going to be trash.
Hotels are going to be infinite. Like, that is just
it's
expensive.
Kind of romantic, though. Like, if you're dating somebody, it's like, hey, you want to meet in Paris for Legacy? It's like,
I mean, Christmas in Paris sounds both awesome and awful all at the same time. Unbelievably romantic / there's a million people on me, get off of me, and like, what's wrong with y'all type stuff. Moving on here. Last of the Gallo Townsfolk here. We have a world. Like, look, it's just one of the reasons I started the show because I love the culture of Magic. One of the things that was in the culture of Magic that was very ingrained. I mean, we're talking like dyed in the wool, which was when it comes to the Pro Tour, A, we got to make sure that no one knows what we're playing, and B, we're going to wait until they're coming around picking up deck lists to just scratch in and just get that last final perfect little sideboard tech that you heard something about that morning. There was rumors, and so-and-so team bought out this weird, card from the latest core set. Yeah, that's no longer the case. In fact, we literally have every deck list from every competitor complete with sideboards for everything coming up for this Mythic Championship 3 weekend.
Right.
I'll put the list up there. And Spin Dash 12 mentions, they said the MPL is not about winning, and I'll be honest, it's weird.
Wow.
It's messed up, honestly, that I cannot necessarily say that is 100% untrue, because I honestly don't know at this point. And we'll get to that in just a second. But it's just crazy to me that we literally have complete perfect information, 2 days before it even happens?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, this is the stuff that people remember, like, where they go around the Pro Tour and they scribble down what everyone's archetypes was, and, oh, I saw this card in so-and-so's deck. Like, nope.
Yeah, and we already saw, I believe it was one of the competitors said that they changed what deck that they were planning on playing based on the fact that deck lists were going to be public.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That the edge that he was going to get from playing Gruul was going to be lessened by the fact that deck lists were public, and so just decided to be Esper instead. It was Andre Strosky. That's right.
Right. Cunio's still on Gruul, so whatever, man.
What a world when Cunio's playing Gruul.
Like, Shota is playing Esper, but he's got 2 Bolus's Citadel in his Esper Planeswalkers deck, which is fantastic.
Yes.
There's some cool stuff.
Shota, y'all. Unbelievable.
Shota.
So good. Well, that brings us directly into Desperate Ravings. We once again continue to live through a crisis of identity when it comes to the Magic Pro League. No one still knows what it is. Wizards is still not talking, no matter how many, iPhone notes got screenshotted, no matter how many videos we got trying to explain what in the world was going on.
The trailer was cool, at least. I have to say that.
Trailer was dope.
The trailer was great. Look, you guys, great job on that trailer. Can you tell me what an MPL is, please? I'd really appreciate that. It's weird. It's fine. It's weird. And it kind of started somewhat out with the calling out of Savich's streaming schedule and how there was no Magic the Gathering on it. And someone's in the MPL, but they haven't streamed Magic in like over 2 weeks. Does that matter? What is the point? Does Wizards care? Is that part of the contract? Where do you go
This
from there?
led to an interesting discussion about whether or not we should be criticizing the people or we should be criticizing the system.
Right.
The people that were defending Savich, including Savich's wife, which was glorious, she was not having it. There were some good arguments on both sides. Ultimately, I think Kai Buddha had the best approach to this. So Kai clarified a little bit that it's not in the contracts that they have to stream. Apparently, it was an option for them to do so. Like, I guess they could be paid more if they did that.
Right.
Not everybody took that option, and so not everybody has to stream. So on that note, Savich isn't technically doing anything wrong, but should it really be his fault that he's not streaming, or is this the system that chose him, didn't ask him to do this, and he's just doing what he needs to do what he's been doing? It was a really interesting discussion before it got a little bit too hairy.
Right. I would say that this is not an issue that I have with Savich at all. This is an issue that I have with Wizards of the Coast, not knowing what they are getting, or not offering what, like, this seems like another point where I'm like, where's the cost benefit analysis here? Like, Savich is great. I think that when he does Magic the Gathering stuff, it is super good, and then he doesn't make stuff.
On his Twitter profile, won't go to the paper events, doesn't stream it. The optics aren't good.
The optics aren't great. Now, that said, here comes Savich's wife from the top rope, y'all.
I was living for this.
This is some living here. I'm gonna give you a truncated. This is a family show setup. You go find this tweet that was linked in the show notes. You'll find it.
She's someone that loves you as much as Savich's wife does. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, when you begin the first response with "the hell is wrong with you," you know it's going to be just so delicious with layers and layers. And just let's know. Here's the best part. When they, so there's this exchange or whatever, and then she says the Magic community that you are a part of has done nothing but harass him from the start and tell him he doesn't deserve to be in the MPL. There isn't a way to make you people happy. When he streams Magic, people come in to complain. The only so much given here is crap.
Oh my god, I want to take her out for cocktails so bad.
So there's another exchange because the guy don't know when to quit, and and she's just like, guess what? He doesn't need to prove his love for Magic to you or anyone else. Where does that threshold of care stop? Who decides what is enough care? All caps, not you. Kindly F off.
For everybody's way.
This is like that meme of, what's that meme where Kevin Hart is being held by somebody and it's got the eyes doing this? That's what this felt like. Look, I get it. I really do. But maybe don't do this response.
It's not going to work. This is not who you're.
Savich's wife. Like, I get it. Like, it's cool, and we're all a little at fault here in this particular. Like, but this is not. This ain't it.
This is the part where you can go back through literally either years of not only our work, but even my work and your all's to some extent. Where, like, when we're criticizing Wizards, we're not throwing out anyone's in particular name. I think a few times I've said I think so and so might be in charge of this. That's about as far as I'll go.
I do find it interesting that if it's as simple as it not being in the contract, why didn't she just say that? We're like, why is she saying why is there all this fire and fury when all you had to say is, it ain't in the contract, bitch? Like, that's all you had to say.
And you see this sometimes from, like, NBA players' wives, or I'm trying to think of other notable examples of
it. Just would have been cleaner and easier if you had just said, this is the fact.
Right.
On. Like, it didn't have to be a diatribe.
Right. So, and there were some threads. Again, these are the iTunes notes screenshots that were showing up for Christian Calcano, who noted essentially, things are changing, as it were, and the pool of talent is different, and obviously there's who they include, who they don't include. The D word of deserve, just miss me with the deserve crap. I don't care. I honestly don't care. At this point, I just want Wizards to tell me what I'm supposed to care about.
Exactly.
Because they won't, and it freaks me out. And for having cared about certain things and certain legacies and certain players and what so and so team is going to do or what are the Japanese pros are going to bring to the table, all of that stuff I used to care about. I I can't sort of anymore.
It's also frustrating because a lot of the tensions that are overflowing right now are because no one's controlling the narrative. And I'm not defending any of the people that were, going for Savage or that have been particularly savage lately. It's one thing to laugh about it, for the show or whatever. But the reason why this is spinning so far out of control is because nothing's coming down to spin everything, to put us back on the rails. And so it's frustrating that Wizards has to see what's going on, and nobody feels the desire to particularly step in. If any other company saw their community kind of imploding like this, people would be stepping in to try to get it back on track. And the fact that so many people cannot miss that this is happening, and no one's like, maybe I should.
So I want to try to give a little bit of, sort of I want to learn different perspectives, right? This is, me as a dude who is literally, I have lived and breathed Magic at this point for like most of my life, for God's sake. So like, someone sat down, they were like, hey, Evan, listen, let's put you as, you're the CEO of Wizards of the Coast right now, okay? You take a company-wide vote as to what is the most important thing about Magic to you. What's the most important thing? Whether it's the art, whether it's the cards themselves, whether it's the formats, whether it's like new sets coming out, whether it's casual play and you can see your friends, community, whatever. Where is Tournament Magic on that list? Now, for me, obviously, it's important to me. It is, it's very important to me. I find it's high up in that rank of stuff I care about Magic about. But you could argue that if we live in a world of invisibles, and we live in a world of casuals are rule above all, and more product is sold through, main mass market chains than there ever will be through friendly local game stores. Well, at which point do you say, maybe it's just not in Wizards' best interest to give a lot of time, money, and attention to this? Now, I will obviously disagree, but if you are a brand new CEO of, Wizards of the Coast, and they brought you this and they said, not a lot of people give a crap about Tournament Magic, where do you go for that? What do you do? And how do you create enthusiasm for something that they've clearly poured tons of money in over the years, but aren't seeing much coming back out of it?
That's a good question.
I mean, seriously, I was just like, they asked me, I was like, I don't know, man, that's a lot of pressure, man. I don't know like, what's going on there. Obviously I enjoyed the system as it was created. I enjoyed the system as it had existed. And I understand why certain changes have happened. And there's so much that has happened that doesn't make any sense. And there's so much that happens that seems knee-jerk and reactionary. And let's try this instead. And let's change the game because this isn't meeting a metric. And then you have a tweet here from Seth, from Saffron Olive, that he crunched the Magic Pro League numbers. As a whole, the average Twitch views of the MPL sponsored streams, these are the ones that are paid to stream, was 334 for the past 30 days. That's 334 people on average watching those things that they paid good money for. He says, I'm starting to think the reason why we don't know about the 2020 MPL is that there might not be one. Lauren's Mulligan notes in the chat that this might not be great math, and for what it's worth, it might not be. But I mean, I'll just give you 500 viewers, okay? Just I'll give you 700, right? What metric do you feel like needs to be there for you to say you got the return on investment from $70,000 over 32 people, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So like whether these numbers are even higher, I just don't think you're going to be able to argue that they're 4 digits. I mean, I've seen people who have gotten invited to the Mythic Championship thing that have literal single digits. Mm-hmm. And not trying to throw any shade. I'm just throwing out metrics. And yeah, it's a numbers game. And it sucks that it's a numbers game. But it's a numbers game. You know what I mean? Like, what are they trying to do? So Kibler showed up and made a video. It's like half an hour long. It's a terrific video that goes in depth and all the stuff. He has a few points on Hearthstone versus Magic, what Hearthstone was doing right, what Magic was doing right, what they're doing wrong. For example, there's no world champion of Hearthstone. That's really weird that you can't say that you're the world champion of this game because you need that. And currently someone needs to be a world champion for the Magic Pro League or Magic or whatever they want to do there. Hearthstone, they have a flexible schedule that makes it hard to watch specific players.
Yes.
They have like 9-hour streams. They have giant long streams. And if you want to watch so-and-so who doesn't play until almost the end of the day, you have no idea how long it could be. before that person actually shows up. They do interviews and spotlights that help build interest in the players. That's great. Wizards is definitely trying to do some of that as well. Too much stuff going on. There's a lot in Hearthstone, a lot of different like leagues in play in different areas. There's 3 different zones and all this other stuff. But for Magic, you have lack of player interaction stifles your interest. That's a thing. You have no standings updates, no playoffs for higher stakes. Requires clarity for the path to professional play. There is no path to professional play right now. Let me tell you, I think it's after this weekend, right? Pro points die as of this weekend.
Right, after Seattle.
After GP Seattle, this weekend, they are no more. What we have known for so many years, all the way from the 90s, is going to go away. There is no path. If these metrics are awful, who knows if there's going to be any MPL in the future? I don't know. Is Sir Mix-a-Lot going to know my name or not? Because I need to know. That's important. I mean, baby got back and stuff. That was important.
Wow.
It's just a little silly. And again, this is I'm pleading with Wizards. I'm just begging you, please listen, please. No one knows what your program is. You can't even tell me what your program is. You want to just you keep this weird, everyone knows what it is, but we won't say what it is thing, and it's freaking me out. You have a hype video for a bunch of people, but you can't tell me what those people are there for. Did you understand how weird that sounds? I can't really put it any other way. It's odd.
But we got memes, though.
We got so many memes. Okay, so then moving on here. I want to touch base on this really quickly, okay? Because I don't want to go too deep into it.
This was the one. See, we had so much to talk about this week. This is the one I wanted Evan to go deep on, but I don't think we have time.
We don't have time. But I want, and I'm not a financial analyst. I'm not an MTG finance guy. I'm just a dude who read a bunch of stuff once this came out. There was a promoted post, a quote-unquote promoted post. This is what we call an advertisement, saying now you can literally invest in Magic cards. And this showed up on Channel Fireball. I'm going to paste an SEC, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission for the United States of America. I'm going to paste in the chat and the show notes the PDF. Or not the PDF. This is the preliminary offering circular. It's very legalese. Basically, it explains the entire investment idea, and I want you to just read over it, okay? And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, do not invest in this. You just buy any Magic card, stick it under your mattress, and you're probably better off. I think.
Holy cow.
Just read it. Just read it. I just want you to read it.
So my question. Well, first of all, no, I'm not going to read this. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to read this.
With investments, I find this kind of fascinating, but I'm just.
I don't come to Magic Mike's to be assigned homework, Evan. I come to Magic Mike's to be told what the thing says. So while I appreciate I want to cut to the bottom of the page, as it were. Why should I not invest in whatever this is?
Again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not sure.
I know you're not a lawyer. You're just a dude who's been in charge of a lot of buying and selling of Magic card companies for various jobs.
For marketing stuff. All I'm saying is when you have something that I'm not sure you're able to, that with no brokerage in terms of being able to buy a share and sell a share, the idea essentially is that you're able to slice an Alpha Black Lotus into 2,000 pieces. Would you pay $60-something to own a piece of that? How you get any money out of it is who knows, and I don't know, and best I can read, I'm not sure exactly how.
We do not have a conflicts of interest policy. What?
And they will not.
This is like buying into a stock market where the stock is the Black Lotus, and the fact that it's an unregulated. I mean, Magic is pretty stable, but it's an unregulated market.
So, allow me to give a different angle that makes this really interesting, okay? And it actually makes it really interesting, I think, from Wizards of the Coast point of view, okay? Regardless of whether it's a good idea, regardless of whether you should put your money in this, please don't. But regardless, the point is they are making a security. They are making a financial instrument out of investing into a card of Magic, all right? So that's the long and short of it. So, if that is true, then Wizards has always had the mindset of, these are game pieces, right? We just make game pieces. We stick them in cardboard boxes. You buy them for whatever you want for. What's a secondary market, y'all? This is crazy. We don't do stuff like that. And now we have something that you can literally invest your life savings into being a part of, that they really tout about Hasbro and Magic the Gathering and being a giant moneymaker and being collectible and how many people are in it as part of this document for the SEC as to why this exists and how it exists. And so if that starts to be recognized as a financial instrument, doesn't that also recognize that Magic cards can be invested in, at which point you become closer to a lottery? If you're saying to me, as Wizards of the Coast, that if I buy a beta pack of Magic, and this has 15 game cards in it, and one of them is worth $100,000, you could argue at that point that is a lottery. You are gambling at some point of some nature, because you're putting the idea that you buy in and you get more than you get out than you bought in for. So that could cause legal problems. And Wizards, I assure you, wants nothing to do with gambling and Magic.
So John Sasso's a member of the advisory board.
Yes.
Which is a good person to have on your advisory board if you're trying to launch something like this.
So the idea that, this could affect the way Magic cards are viewed as a financial investment, as a financial instrument, as a way to put your money in something, again, there could be collateral damage, for lack of a better term.
Oh, for sure.
So
absolutely. I mean, boy, this is I need somebody call Frank Karsten. Because
hello, I'm on the show.
That's true. Actual bank employee, Erin Campbell.
So for those who don't know, I work for an investment firm, and I work for a retirement firm. And so but prior to actually getting the job I have now, I had to pass 2 licensing exams with FINRA. And so I have my Series 66, my Series 63. So I spent a good 3 months straight just studying for those exams. And so I'm a little bit fluent in investments. And so I find this whole thing fascinating. So I would love to this is something I would curl up with at night and read, like just before bed. Like I would have a lot of fun delving into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just a little crazy. That's all I'm saying. And so I'm going to move on here. And we don't have a lot of time left. I do want to note that there was a store not selling singles at their MCQ. And as an old school PTQer,
yeah,
I can't. I would have lost my poop. Everything would have exploded. My head would have popped off my shoulders. I would have freaked out and just went home if you're telling me you won't sell me singles at your Magic the Gathering tournament, let alone a Mythic Championship qualifier.
This was a tweet, by the way, from longtime grinder Christian Keith, who's shout out to Christian Keith. He's just been around forever and one of the best. And this was in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I don't know which store this was. But, for a Vegas store to not be doing it, man, this is just stupid.
By the way, holy wow, Queen Marchesa, EDH, 11,000 bits. I know we wait to the end of the show, but thank you.
That is a record by far.
Happy Pride. Thank you much. My goodness, that's amazing.
One topic I want to touch on real quick before we go is I've been keeping up with what's been going on in Hong Kong all weekend, and Li Xian has also been literally on the ground being involved in the protests. He wrote an article for Hipsters of the Coast talking about what's going on and trying to raise awareness for what's happening in Hong Kong, and very interesting, very terrifying situation happening there. So if you have a second, please follow him on Twitter, or at least read his article and see what's going on and become informed, because it's terrifying.
We absolutely encourage the world literacy here at Magic Mike's. We have a whole politics channel in our Discord, which you can be a part of if you join us on our Patreon. We talk a lot about it in our pre-show. We try to not let it seep too much into the regular program, which we try to keep to Magic the Gathering and relevant related kind of news. Mm-hmm. But certainly Hong Kong in particular is a unique situation and has the Li Xian connection to it as well. A huge percentage, something more than 20% of the entire population of Hong Kong is taking part in these protests.
On Sunday.
The videos are amazing. They are more organized than I've ever seen any protesting group ever, and I've been a part of a couple.
Yep.
The video that I saw of cops throwing in tear gas, and instead of everyone scattering, people coming in to pour water onto the tear gas was like, wow, that is crazy and amazing, but also amazing. Something I never thought I'd see.
The ambulance, where they were the people that were, they all moved out. It was like the parting of the sea, and for good reason. When you read about what's happening there, it's scary, and also I hesitate to use the word, but it was almost inspiring in a lot of ways. Of like, this is what this is what democracy looks like. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get mad as hell. You're supposed to do these things.
Yeah.
And it was peaceful by all accounts. These were not just, you couldn't say it was just like, ravenous hordes of people. No, they were organized. They were as polite as you can be when you're protesting. I mean, it was just a lesson.
Right. So yeah, go out and make your voice heard.
And so we're now banned in China. Well,
we
did
went
it, folks.
streaming to what's the streaming site in China?
I don't know.
It's not Nico. That's Japan.
That's Japan. I got nothing.
I forget.
All I know is I was a little silly. All right, so let's go ahead.
Queen Marchesa is Cantonese.
There we go. Perfect.
Oh wow. Well, there you go.
I've already blocked China on Twitter. It's fine. So.
Well, long may she reign, as it were.
That's a billion people on your block list.
You say that like there ain't already a billion there.
True. That's another billion people.
Like
on your
she
block
ain't proud of that, y'all. Come on. Goodness gracious. Let's go ahead and pick a winner here for our $50 gift certificate. The winner is the pilot, and I actually said it right, not the pilot.
Hey, look at that.
Not the pilot. Nope, it's the pilot. I did it.
Pilot.
I did it, guys. Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
Rigged to be 100% random.
And
So
the pilot tweeted at me the other day, so I can confirm he is not blocked.
very nice.
Perfect.
So please hit us up on the social media networks if Erin hasn't blocked you already, which is fine. We'll go ahead and go through our thanks, and it's always nice as these kind of get longer and longer each week.
Yes.
A loaf resub for 14 months in a row. Thank you so much. One of our longest subs. Sheth DMMD resub for 9 months. Sub baby y'all, as they say. Tim's War resub for 13 months. Lucky 13, absolutely. Anthro Amic resubscribe for 2 months in a row. They said they just missed it. I'm not sure what they just missed. Celtic Damon has resubbed for 6 months in a row. Thank you so much. The Golgari Grave Troll of Anniversaries.
Whoop, whoop.
All right. Very cool. Shame MTG resub for 5 months. Thank you so much. Punt and Scooped has subscribed via Prime. Thanks for those Bezos bucks. We appreciate it. Sig River Guide subscribed via Prime. Welcome to the channel. Thank you much. Draco Lucian got that sub, baby. Oh, yeah. 9 months.
Thank you.
Very nice. Amber Anarchy resub for 2 months. Thank you so much. That's a real important one. He came back to support us one more time. Nstev resub for 3 months. They says, hi, guys. How you doing? Thank you much. Big Low 7 resub for resub for 4 months in a row. 4 months, yay, they say.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Zep Canute, RZEP Canute. You hurting me. Please help me.
Uh-oh.
Please give me phonetic spellings if you need to.
Bother.
They say they resub for 3 months. Thank you so much. They say love the show. Don't stop, never stopping, and we won't. Let's see here. And Launcelot335 has subscribed via Prime. Thank you much. Kamork85 has resubbed for 8 months right next to that sub baby. We'll see you there next month. All right. So Reuben, if you want to take our
Sure.
incredible bits.
Yeah, I was gonna do this in Savit's voice because he hasn't done any Magic content in a while. So I was going to read the bits in his voice, but we had a request from Sig River Guide for the Kermit voice. So I guess we'll do some Kermit the Frog voice for these bits here. 18 Andrew gave us 10 bits. Shame MTG 69 bits. That's always nice. Thunder Voice 1, 200 bits. Martin K-Star gave us 200 bits as well. Snail Cows, 300 bits. And, of course, the big kahuna, crazy this time around, Queen Marchesa, EDH, 12,000 bits.
And if you're listening to the podcast, yes, he is doing the arms flailing above his head.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So yes, she mentioned there. So I'm Cantonese. Erin, thank you for bringing this up. We don't deserve you. Absolutely incredible. She threw those bits
She
out
also
there.
said Happy Pride, and I've got my Pride jelly bracelets on, so I see you.
Happy Pride was incredible. Let's see. Martin K said for those 200 bits said new game. Whose hands are whose? This was talking about the reduke hands thing.
Oh, gotcha.
Which was fun. And Shame went in there with Seems Good 69. I'll take it. And Smilkhouse with thank you for the great content. Thank you, Smilkhouse, a longtime supporter of our stuff. And you are terrific. So
we do have our preview cards from this episode up on the Reddit. The links are in our Discord and on our Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see. Want to double check Martin Casa? I don't see. Yep. 1 hour ago. Thank you, Martin. I apologize for that. Resub for 14 months in a row. My guess is Vivian. They said, and it was incorrect. Let's see. Just so we can. Track Freak Levi resub for 4 months. I think it appears I missed a few. Sorry. And then Antho Amic resub for 2 months in a row. That's a big one. But we talked about that one earlier. And yeah, all right. I think I got all of those. As well as 5 days ago, Master Toenail subscribed via Prime. Thank you so much.
Master Toenail.
And with a Master Toenail, we will turn the corner to the finisher, as it were. 8 years ago this week, Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic were banned from the standard format. My God, really 8 years?
I know, right?
Times sure have changed since then, with Stoneforge being banded about for modern unbanning every few months, and JTMS these days merely being better than most. So in a few years, when we look back at the bands that make her dance, what kinds of memories will you have, Erin?
Well, I look forward to the release of Modern Horizons 4, which, God's willing, will also feature another card with Dredge, another card with Storm, and another beautiful 8/8 for 0 that I can cast from my graveyard over and over and over again.
These Hogax ain't loyal.
Wow.
Hogax for Brogax.
Reuben?
In the history of Magic, there is one card more feared, more reviled, more powerful than any other that had ever been printed. At least you'd think that based on its maintained status on the banned list. So I'm excited for the moment several years hence when we can celebrate the anniversary of the banning of the best Magic card of all time, Rampaging Ferocidon.
Justice for Ferocidon. Come on.
Inexplicable.
I like how Wizards they don't mention it, they don't talk about it, they're not bringing it up. It's just like, look, it's on there, just deal with it. And you're like, but why? What did it do? Well, I'm looking forward to a day when we can look back fondly at the anniversary of my favorite Magic fumble. In fact, you know what? Why wait? Let's celebrate today. Friends, enemies, and undecideds, please raise a Diet Wild Cherry Pepsi with me in honor of the fallen. Yes, it's right here, by the way. Diet Cherry Pepsi. Gotta love it. For it is my distinct privilege to help celebrate the 321st day anniversary of the Magic the Gathering Silver Showcase. May it rest in pieces, y'all. Let's drink to that.
It feels like just yesterday.
God, it was so stupid. It hurt me. It left a wound. There's a scar deep in me right now with the dumb that happened and the money that was just completely just spewed out over everyone for what ended up being not great reasons.
Hashtag sponsored, hashtag free preview.
We're in a weird position, Reuben. You understand? That ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to everybody in chat. You all are great.
You guys are amazing. Thank you, Reuben.
I haven't decided if I'm going to come back next week for the show or not, but thank you for tuning in and inviting me here anyway.
We need to do an SNL sketch where, you can be Savitch and I'll be his wife. It'll be glory.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
All right. Move here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Erin Campbell and Reuben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMikesPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMikesPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.